Cutthroat trout. This is a game species that is synonymous with the western United States and heavily sought after by many an avid angler. Some know them as greenbacks, west slopes, Rio Grandes, Colorados, and many, many more. They fill my memories and fuel my inspiration for future adventures. They are by far one of my favorite species to target on the fly, and their beauty is almost as vast as their distribution across the West. But this is where it ends. As I grip the wheel on this chilly New Mexico morning, the details of this trip just keep cycling through my head. This drive south, it's been on my research list for many, many months now, and it's hard to think it's finally happening. So, as the Gila Peaks are slowly being revealed by that sun, I'm anxious to get my boots on the ground and on the trail. But before we can get our hike on, I think a bit of context is needed. This map from the New Mexico Department of Tourism helps put things into perspective. The Gila National Forest, as a rule, is one of the most remote chunks of land in the lower 48. This adventure, it's going to be on the far east side, in a place known as the Black Range. It's slow moving, weaving up the spine of these mountains, and it's really amazing that a road could even be carved through such harsh angles. I'm gonna get into this a little bit later, but I have poured in a lot of resources to figure out this adventure. Now, even though this is true, I still pulled up to the trailhead with so many unknowns. So, like always, overpacking, it's what I do best. And I know I've said this before, but I would much rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it, especially in a place this remote. For most anglers, the arid desert mountains of the Gila wilderness conjure up images of Gila trout. And I've been there and I've done that. They are extremely fun. But I think it would come as a surprise to a lot of you out there that I'm making this long, lonely trek, not for Gila trout, but for Rio Grande Cutthroat. The native range of New Mexico's state fish used to spread far and wide. From southern Colorado to the majority of New Mexico, these cutthroat would dominate massive watersheds like the Rio Grande and the Pecos. However, when I think of these places now, non-native browns and rainbow trout, those are the images that come to mind. And it's an unfortunate and very common story that you can see all throughout the Mountain West with any native fish species, but especially with trout. But today, I'm not hiking into a sad story. No, I'm beelining it towards an amazing watershed with a rare win for native trout. Well, did the research.
did the physical prep, I did the gear prep, and here we are at our objective. 8 miles later, I have far overextended myself. 4 miles straight up, 4 miles straight down. We are in the middle of the Black Range here in the Gila, and I'm not too optimistic. Now I don't want to get it twisted. I did see a fish. I'm just I don't know. I'm not feeling as good as I might have if I didn't see that the water was frozen, and yeah, this trail isn't very well maintained. But yeah, I need to kind of chill out. Maybe address some of these scratches and thorns. Ooh, like that one. Perfect. God bless. All right, let's get into it.
After cleaning up a bit, it was nice to get some much needed fuel. I knew I would not be in this canyon very long. Time and water were both running low, and I only had one shot to catch this extremely rare fish. Knowing there's no rest for the wicked, I gathered my belongings and crept back to that lonely pool. Scanning the willow branch stronghold was difficult, but by some native trout miracle, I focused in on a ghostly figure gliding down the pool. I stood there, seemingly frozen, for several minutes, watching and memorizing this trout's figure 8 movement pattern. Now I was confident that I at least had one shot. I scurried back to my gear and rigged up with anxious hands. It was time to start this stalk. And this 10-minute approach required a lot of starting and a lot of stopping. I really had to do my best to avoid spooking this trout.
Come on, go to the top of the pool. Go to the top of the pool, buddy, come on. I gotta move in there.
Once I finally got into position, I had to create a willow window if I were to have any chance of getting my fly in there. And this was a very dangerous game because the more I moved around and shuffled, the more I was testing my luck. This fish could have seen me at any minute. So with just enough room for a half-hearted bow and arrow cast, I managed to land my fly. And the next few minutes, they're a bit of a blur.
Oh my God, we did it! Yes! Oh my God, we did it! Oh my gosh. As you can see with the GoPro, we've just got him sitting here, cradled in the net, just sitting in the stream, kind of reviving back. I'm gonna try and get you a quick look at him, but I don't want him out of the water all that long. Oh God, this is an incredible fish, an incredible accomplishment. Oh my gosh.
When so much time and effort is put towards achieving a singular goal, moments like this are truly incredible. And as I hold this native gem, I am at a loss for words to truly describe how I'm feeling in this moment.
There he goes. Oh my gosh, I can't tell if it's from exhaustion or excitement, but I'm still like, I'm shaking after that. That was perfect. It couldn't have gone any better. I know there's some of you out there who are wondering why I'm so stoked on such a little trout, but stick with. I have been doing so much research, so much planning and prep for this one moment right here. But I've got my gear in a mess. I didn't know if I was actually gonna fish once I got here. A lot of things were kind of up in the air because the water looks so rough, let's just say. And yeah, now I need to make the hike back up and out of this valley because the wind's starting to whip and it's well into the afternoon. So once we get to the top of the ridge, I'll explain a little bit more why the hell I'm even out here and why that fish matters so much. So stick with. Oh my gosh. That's so amazing. first 4 out of the way, this back 4 shouldn't be as bad. And I know I made mention about talking about the Rio Grande Cutthroat and why they're so special, but my mind is depleted, my body is depleted, and right now I don't think I would do it justice. So if you would so kindly bear with me as I get off this rock, I'll explain why these fish are just so dang special and why it was worth the physical turmoil.
Well, if you haven't made it to this point in the video, I do want to apologize for kind of pushing it off towards the end. If you saw the man sitting under that tree, I was physically broken and mentally dead. So I didn't want to, kind of give this a half-hearted go. I wanted to take a step back and give these finer details a bit more attention, because I think these are the aspects that make a trip so amazing and so worth it and solidify it in your memory. So when I first learned about this watershed, I was doing research on the Gila National Forest for Gila trout. I was going to do a big backpacking trip, so on and so forth. It was going to be fun. But when my eyes scanned over Rio Grande Cutthroat, I thought, what the hell? So I went through a little bit deeper, and through my spot burning Bible, I found out that this is the furthest southern population of Rio Grande Cutthroat. And this is why these are rare trout. This is why this is such a cool adventure, because Rio Grande Cutthroat are the furthest southern species of cutthroat trout. And then this population is the furthest of those. So it's like, this is amazing. You can't go any further south. It's kind of a cool thing about this thing we do, this silly thing called fly fishing. You can go down so many different avenues and you can walk and never find an end. Be it with cool fish adventures, tying flies, going and seeing and doing so many different things in different ways. I mean, there's no end to this game. That's why it's so cool. But maybe that's for another time. Reading through, I need to get this on the top of my to-do list. And as I kept doing a little bit more research, I found, hold on, pump the brakes. We got a problem. There was set to be an environmental assessment as well as an environmental restoration of this entire stream. And for those of you who don't know, this usually means purging the stream, so killing all the non-natives and then reintroducing the natives. And the problem with that is that it could be a 1 to 3 year process of culling the stream. And, with an adventure like this, you don't want to hike in however many miles just to find out, oh, cool, there are 0 fish here. So I put this project on the back burner for a little while. I thought, you know what, I'll get to it later, no worries. And it has been almost 9 months. It's always been kind of in the background, but as the Gila peaks were starting to thaw, I thought, you know what, let's give this a try. Let's give this an actual go. So again, before I was even going to step foot on the trail, I needed exact confirmation that this project was at least finished. And so I set out weeks in advance doing cold calls and sending out emails to every fish and game agent and, New Mexico Fish and Game Department that there was, it seems. And in almost true ironic fashion, the night before I was set to go on the trip, I got an email, pinged up, said, boom, confirmation. 2017 to 2019, the project is complete and the Rio Grandes are restored. And then you guys kind of know the rest. So in the mostly sad story of native trout here in the West, this is a rare win. I mean, getting 32 miles of stream back to the natives it's a huge accomplishment. So I just want to take this time to thank and shout out New Mexico Fish and Game as well as U.S. Fish and Wildlife for spearheading this project and completing it. I mean, it's truly amazing that anglers like myself and maybe you out there can go and chase this native trout in such an amazing part of the country. And events like this aren't isolated. There are projects going on all throughout the West to bring back our native fish. But things like dams and non-native introductions, they have really hindered this progress, and it makes it tough. So just know that your tax dollars, as well as percentages of your fishing license dollars, are going towards good causes, just like this one. So folks, I've rambled on far too long. I so appreciate you sticking around with me and maybe learning the finer aspects, the details, the behind the scenes of this crazy adventure. So folks, you know the deal. Like, subscribe, comment. I mean, I hate saying that. It seems so shilly to ask that, but that's the way this YouTube algorithm works. And to get this channel to grow, which it really has, this thing is growing like a weed. I've got you guys to thank for that. But still, if you haven't considered subscribing, I mean, no big deal. I appreciate the view. And folks, wherever you find yourself, be it in the Gila National Forest or in your backyard, I sure hope you're keeping those feet in the water. And until next time, tight lines.